Okay, we're live, guys. Okay, roll call. Mariah Michaelis,
Savannah Steig.
Mandy Hansen,
Rich Behunen's here.
Paul Huntsman, or Anderson. Paul Anderson, Huntsman, whatever. I'm
Should I
here.
go downstairs?
What?
Should I go downstairs? Can I want to sleep on my bed at all tonight?
Probably not.
Because I don't want to leave my hair. Because I don't want to leave my hair.
You'll be fine.
is that everybody? Angelina? Angelina's here, Adam's here, Stephanie's here. Is that everybody? Okay, perfect. We'll start on our first question. It says, what were your impressions of the CRC article and video by the United Nations? What about the article and videos by parental rights? I thought they were both very influential. They allowed us to form our own opinions while clearly stating that what was happening all around the world. They did a great job of informing the audience on the issues at hand, and that they backed up the research with facts. That's what I wrote on my thing.
Yeah, I think they were both pretty influential. It was actually pretty hard for me to form an opinion because both of them had such good points to them. So I still don't really even know where I stand on that.
Well, for me, it was something I was unfamiliar with, but it was good information to be able to, number one, prompt me to go do more study. It left me wanting to make the right decision. I realized the importance of the CRC. I thought it was interesting, very interesting, that the U.S. is the only one that has not ratified, if I'm using the right term, the whole CRC agenda. At the same time, the more I learned about it, the more I realized that I'm glad that they haven't, because it made me as a parent want to keep my parenting rights. And when I compare what they're trying to do in order to give the children the rights, I compare that to the proclamation, and I'm just glad we have a prophet that we can follow.
I like that a lot, the parental rights. Because every kid needs guidance, you know?
Yeah, I understand not trying to take away somebody's agency.
Exactly, but that's two different things.
But to have somebody's agency completely be, you know, what about the parent's agency?
Right?
You know, okay, children have rights, but don't parents have rights as well? Yeah, I mean, we could get into arguments over this with a variety of people, I'm sure, and all of our opinions here may not be the same either. But the fact that, you know, a child, for example, one of the things that I think I remember hearing from one of the videos, the child can go have an abortion without the parents even knowing anything about it, because that's a child's right to privacy. Well, that's, I don't know, pushing it too far for me.
Yeah, Angelina says right here, I think it is important that children have a voice, someone speaking and defending their rights and ensuring their safety. And then it said, I remember briefly seeing something about allowing the child to do whatever they want. If they don't want to go to church, parents needing to be okay. I think here it depends on the child's age and maturity, if they can be trusted and left home alone. As well, I remembered something about if they want to have an abortion, laws allow discretion. I think that is insane and dangerous. Anything can go wrong, and the child won't have her parents for consult or support. I like that. I kind of like how she brought both spectrums into the conversation. Like how it can be good for a child to have their agency, kind of like what you said, Rich, and then also like the dangers of it. So I definitely think it goes both ways.
From like a gospel perspective, it's like children, they're not accountable until they're about 8 years old, and so like looking like for children that are younger, I don't think it would be fair to give them all like complete full reign of these rights before they're 8 years old when they just don't know yet. They don't have that knowledge. I mean, older children's a different story. You have to think about different perspectives, but I mean, in God's eyes, they aren't even accountable for anything yet. They don't know better, so they need the parents there to step in and make the choices for them.
I agree.
Yeah.
Should
That's
we
true.
move on, guys?
Yeah, anything else on that question?
Okay, let's move on. If you are from or have ever lived in a country where the CRC has already been ratified, what are some of the positive and negative effects you have observed as a result? If you are from the US or Somalia where the CRC has not yet been ratified, then research another country to document the positive and negative effects and relate how they could benefit or hurt your country with a future CRC ratification. And yeah. Anyways.
Anybody been in a country that they've had that experience?
I went to Chile on my mission, and it exists there. I wrote about it a little bit in here, but I served my mission in Chile, and I saw that it had changed the lives of many. In the positive perspective, I think that it is a great protection for children. In a negative stance, I feel like although many countries have it, it does not make any difference. Many people don't even take notice to the rights of the children. That's what I put.
It seemed to me that the research was saying that even those countries that have ratified it, there's no laws in place to guarantee that those rights are being followed.
It's true.
You know, and so it's interesting that the CRC is in place in a lot of third world countries, yet third world countries are still, you know, underdeveloped and having a hard time getting those child rights when they can't even get water or anything like that.
I feel like in a lot of ways they treat children like they're already adults, which I think is kind of funny. I think it's silly.
Yeah.
Like they actually know what they want when they don't.
In Chile on your mission, did you have to wait then to specific ages of accountability to teach the children, or did you have to get parental consent? If the CRC was there and parents didn't have a say about religion for their kids, did you notice that you could teach any age of the children?
No, well, for one thing, there weren't very many cars there, so the child had to be over 16 in order to even get them to church. And so you had to have a consent or a parent or something almost at all times, so it didn't even really matter. So, I guess in the church's view and the missionaries' view, I think it was different than what it would have been in, like, the real world where I did not live. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So.
Well, I think the church would also back the fact that they want parents to support what the children are doing, and so.
Well, and they're all about the family right now, too. It's like, if you have a child, you're trying to get the family. You're not just trying to baptize the child, because after the child gets baptized, who knows if they'll stay active, because their family's not behind them, so. But.
Interesting.
Anyone else have anything to say on that?
I feel like that goes like along perfectly with the handbook change. Like what you said, that like they want what's best for the whole family, you know.
Yeah.
Just an interesting connection.
The church will always do it right.
I agree. I feel like the church has the right perception on how this life should be. You know, I think it's because we have Christ at the top of the church, and so he's our guide, you know. The world doesn't exactly have that, so we're very blessed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to move on. Is that okay, or does anyone have anything else to share?
I'll read what Angelina just put in. She said
Oh,
her
perfect.
family, her father's family is from Europe. I know there the legal age for drinking or smoking is a lot younger than the U.S. It's like at 14 or something.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know the statistics on the impact, but over there it is a cultural that you have a drink with your meal. That could play some huge, um, that could have a big impact on things,
I agree.
child rights and stuff. Thanks, Angelina.
That's awesome.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
Move on? Okay, let's go. Okay. How did Kelly's presentation help your understanding of the ecological approach to family advocacy?
Well, I got about half of her thing watched is all due to illness stuff here at home,
Yeah.
but what I was able to catch, it helped broaden or deepen the understanding of each level and the importance of advocacy at each level. For me, anyway, whether it's you're going to school to interact with the teacher of your child, or whether you're writing your senator a letter to try and advocate for the family in back in Washington D.C. or something like that. So
I agree with that. I think that it, like there's certain things that you can have the same actions for to support, and then there's things that you have to take one step further to get into the system or whatever to support the family.
that's a good way of putting it, Mandy, because you do have to take one more step sometimes. And yet sometimes the same things you're doing at home work at school, for example. It's a great thought.
Her presentation kind of just helped me understand more how the systems kind of work together in a way, like they kind of trickle down through each other. Like if you influence something in one system, it influences the other systems as well. Like something you do in a school setting is also going to influence the child's home life and just how they work together.
Right on.
So wait, what would our answer be there? Sorry guys, I didn't write anything yet. That's my bad.
Well, I think from what Savannah and Mandy were just saying is that when you advocate in one area, they overlap or they mesh together. And sometimes doing one thing is sufficient in different levels, but sometimes you have to take it one step further to advocate for a larger group or something like that. At least that's what I understood from what you guys were saying.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
It's perfect.
Okay, perfect. Got it.
Okay, next question.
Okay. What system or level do you personally feel would be the most difficult to advocate and why? I feel like on the level of experience, it would be the easiest to advocate on, and the lack of experience would make it the most difficult to advocate. And in experience, I kind of mean, like, I guess your knowledge. Because I feel like a lot of times you can advocate, but if you don't have the facts behind you, your opinions make no sense at all. And people are going to start, I don't know, I think they're going to stop listening because they're like, oh, this person has no idea what they're talking about at all. And so I think a lot of times experience is what brings, kind of like the stories that we were talking about last week, is like when you have a story, you can bring people in and you can catch their attention. So that's kind of what I was thinking about when I was writing that, was kind of a little bit of what we were talking about last week.
So you're saying it's easier to advocate when you have an experience to share?
When you have experience and when you have the knowledge in order to do it, to advocate for it.
Okay, so is it easier to advocate for example, the the microsystem or the individual, or is it easier to take your experience and then share it with the macro system and write a letter to your senator or change the culture or belief system behind why you believe the way you believe?
Are you asking what's easier?
Yeah, because I
I
think
feel
that's what
like,
the question is asking.
right, well, I feel like if you genuinely feel something for it, it's so much easier to advocate for it. Does that make sense? Like, there's a desire and a want for it. If it's not there, if there's nothing that's pushing you for it, then it makes no sense and no one's going to back you up with it. Does that make sense to you? Is that kind of what you were asking? So for me, it would be easier to write to the whatever and tell them why I feel so strongly about it, because it's something personal.
Okay.
So I
But
don't know.
I have to take it, I go the opposite way. I think it would be easier to advocate for my own individual family because I have so much more vested interest there and spending my time, my effort, my energy taking care of my own little flock, so to speak. For me, that seems easier than neglecting my own children and writing a letter about abortion to Washington, D.C.
Why would you neglect your children by doing that?
Because I bypass the time and the energy that they need from me as a father because I'm distracted writing this perfect long letter for UFI to advocate for the family somehow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what
I'm
you're
just
saying.
kind of trying to draw some kind of an example here, but it would be easier for me to advocate for the microsystem or even maybe the mesosystem where I can go to a school board meeting knowing that the teacher or the curriculum that's being decided upon for my children, I can have an impact there for my kids.
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
As opposed to taking 2 weeks out of my life and flying to a UN convention and not seeing my kids for 2 weeks and over there trying to convince the world that marriage should be between a man and a woman. Not saying that that's not a good thing to do with my time,
Right.
but in that 2 weeks, what have I missed being able to advocate the importance of values or culture or beliefs inside and instill those inside my own kids?
So, Rich, just real quick, do you think that works for every family? Just really quick, like if every family had the same attitude that you had, do you think it would be a good thing or a bad thing? Just like, I'm just curious.
No, that's a great question. You're calling me out, and that's okay. I like that. I think that it would probably depend on the values and beliefs that each family was teaching each of their kids.
Right.
It probably wouldn't work for society as a whole, but at the same time, if you're taking care of, well, how do you change a generation? How do you change a culture?
Yeah.
You change that culture by teaching the next generation the right ways to go.
Yeah.
And so if all families were teaching the correct principles and correct doctrines and correct philosophies within one generation, we would have a whole completely new culture and viewpoint about something. And so, yeah, I'll stick by the fact that I think it'd be better and easier to advocate for family.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to have people kind of on both sides of this, because we need to balance. Like, there's some families where they might be in a better position, where the parents could go to like a big conference or something. We don't have young children. And there's some families where they're best suited to make a difference within their own families, like in the home setting. Like, for example, I know my mom, she always talked about, because she didn't finish college, she didn't like go out to the world with a big career, but she always talks about how she raised us 5 kids, and that's how she made a difference in the world, was by raising us with good morals in the church, and like kind of her army of children, she called us, and sends out us missionaries and new little families So that's how she made her difference within her own meso system. There's other families that are better suited to go out to the bigger things with the macro system and everything.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what do you guys feel like would be the most difficult to advocate for?
Personally, I feel like the most difficult one for me would be the biggest one, the one you're farthest away from. Like Rich was saying, like trying to write something to the senator. I think it'd be a lot easier to have influence on your family, the people that you're closest to.
Okay.
I can agree with that.
Mariah,
I
thanks
think
for pulling double duty there.
You're welcome. I think that's it, actually. That's all the questions that I have, at least, here. So I think that's it, guys. If anyone else has anything else to say.
We got to have a summary statement of some sort.
Yeah, who wants to do that?
What do you think, Nicole? Do you want to? Who hasn't summaried yet?
I did it 2
Yeah.
weeks ago, I think.
Nicole did do it, I remember.
Savannah? Mandy?
I wasn't sure how to summary.
But I missed the first half of the discussion because my computer lost its internet connection. So I don't even know what you guys talked about the first half.
Oh dear.
Like, how does the summary have to work?
Just what we talked about, and that's it.
I can probably do that real quick.
Yeah.
Look at these questions again. So we just talked about the CRC and like the pros and cons of it, and I mean how there's some really great things about it, how it can protect children, but how it also can take away the parental rights. We also talked about Kelly's presentation and how we learn more about like the systems theory and how like they merge together with advocacy. And then we also talked about like which would be most difficult, and I think we were talking about most difficult would be like the macro system, wasn't it? And then the most important, did we talk about the meso system for that? I think that was what we said. And yeah.
Awesome. Great summary.
Perfect, guys. We shall see each other next week.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Okay, sounds good. Bye, guys. See you later.
Bye.